PR Connections Radio presents
Welcome to Vegas Hockey Hub here on PRConnectionsRadio.com, the voice of new media. I'm your host, Ian Kelly. Go on to the website, PRConnectionsRadio.com. Check out all the shows that we have on the network. We have about a dozen shows on PR Connections Radio, including Vegas Hockey Hub. So if you want to go to the website, PRConnectionsRadio.com, the voice of new media, check out all of the amazing shows that are on the network. If you want to go to our Facebook page at PR Connections Radio, we also have our videos up on there. We share the content out to everyone in the world. So if you are on our Facebook page, like it, follow it, keep up to date, because we have a bunch of amazing content for everybody on our Facebook page as well. And if you are on the PR Connections Radio YouTube channel, welcome in. If you want to like this video and subscribe to the PR Connections Radio YouTube channel, we post all of that content on here as well. And we've been building a lot of steam on the YouTube channel. It has been getting better and better and better every single week. So PR Connections Radio on YouTube at PR Connections, about a dozen shows on the network. Just had an incredible show very recently on the YouTube channel, so I highly recommend going on there. And if you want to support Vegas Hockey Hub, we have a YouTube channel where we post daily content on there. So if you go to our YouTube at Vegas Hockey Hub, wanted to subscribe and share with all of your friends and family, I highly appreciate it. And if you want to go on to the Vegas Hockey Hub Facebook page, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, we are on all social media platforms at Vegas Hockey Hub. And lastly, if you want to follow your host at Ian Rakelli 18. So once again, if you want to follow the host at Ian, I-A-N, Rakelli, R-A-C-H-I-E-L-E 18 on Twitter. I post content daily onto the Twitter page and on the Vegas Hockey Hub. We do live tweeting on every Golden Knights game. We have a live tweeting session for every Golden Knights game. Now that we have gotten that out of the way, it is time to do a player profile on Ben Hutton. Ben Hutton, who has become a reliable and consistent defenseman for the Vegas Golden Knights. In fact, he has become the constant seventh defenseman for the Vegas Golden Knights. Now, for anyone who doesn't understand hockey, let me tell you what a seventh defenseman is. What it means is that he is the extra skater on the Vegas Golden Knights. So you have six defensemen in the starting lineup. You have defensive pairing 1, defensive pairing 2, and defensive pairing 3. So that means you have 6 defensemen that are supposed to start for your organization. The titled seventh defenseman is the guy that will be coming off the bench if someone gets hurt. Someone who's a healthy scratch who will be part of the roster on a daily basis. Almost every NHL team has a seventh defenseman. And on this episode, we're going to be talking about the Vegas Golden Knights' seventh defenseman, and that is Ben Hutton. So who is Ben Hutton? After all, Ben Hutton was drafted 147th overall in the 2012 NHL entry draft from the Maine Black Bears in the NCAA. So let's take you back to the very beginning on Ben Hutton. As Ben Hutton actually had a good journey into the NHL. In fact, he had a very successful run in college hockey, Ben Hutton did. So Ben Hutton, after playing junior hockey in Central Canada, playing in the Central Canada Hockey League, and then going to college hockey and playing at Maine, he did pretty well. As a matter of fact, Ben Hutton ended up having a successful career in college. Not only did he have 28 goals, 27 assists, and 40 penalty minutes in 108 games played, but when it came to Ben Hutton, he ended up becoming an outstanding player for Maine. And how outstanding did Ben Hutton become? He was rewarded onto the all-first team for the Hockey East. Now, anyone who doesn't understand hockey, Hockey East is a conference in college hockey. So, Ben Hutton was essentially selected to the All-Hockey East team. So that means that he was one of the best players from Hockey East Conference in college hockey. That's an incredible accomplishment by Ben Hutton. You also have to point out that when Ben Hutton played, he also represented Canada East in the 2011 World Junior Challenge in British Columbia. And he scored a goal, he had 2 assists, and Canada East won the silver medal. They only lost to Canada West in the gold medal game. So you have a guy in Ben Hutton who in 3 years playing for Maine went from having 4 goals and 15 points in 2012, 15 goals and 29 points in 2013, and then finally 9 goals and 21 points in 2014. So you have a guy in Ben Hutton who's showing that he could be a constant in college, a standout in college hockey. So Ben Hutton shows that he could be a good up-and-coming guy for in the NHL. And in the 2012 NHL draft, a draft I have mentioned before, by the way, he would be selected in the 5th round by the Vancouver Canucks. He would be taken by Vancouver in round 5 of the 2012 NHL entry draft. Now, to give you a comparison, Ben Hutton was drafted in the same round as Connor Hellebuck, who has become a multi-time All-Star with the Winnipeg Jets. He would be drafted in the same round as Colin Miller, who is a former Vegas Golden Knights defenseman. They were taken in the same round in the same draft in 2012. And he was even taken in the same round as Alexander Kerfoot, who is currently a middle 6 forward for the Arizona Coyotes. So Alex Kerfoot, Colin Miller, Connor Hellebuck, and Ben Hutton were all taken in the same round in 2012. Now, if you fast forward just a little bit when it came to this draft, you also have to mention that Ben Hutton had a cup of coffee in the AHL. It was very brief, only had a few games in the AHL, but they still count, so I'm going to include them. He had 4 games in the AHL, had 1 goal, 1 point, and only 2 penalty minutes while playing for the Utica Comets of the AHL. I also want to mention that he was a very good player at a young age. This is 2014, 2015. Ben Hutton is a 21-year-old impressing the Vancouver Canucks. There's a lot of good articles and a lot of good quotes about Ben Hutton in 2014. So, as a 22-year-old in Vancouver, not only would he no longer be in the AHL ever again, but Ben Hutton at 22 years old would make the opening day roster for the Vancouver Canucks. And Ben Hutton would go on to Vancouver and make his NHL debut against the Calgary Flames October 7th, 2015. And this is also the same Ben Hutton that when he made his debut, he actually would have his first career point on the same night. So Ben Hutton did pretty well in his first season. He would play 75 games in his rookie campaign for the Vancouver Canucks. 75 games, and he actually would end up having a good rookie campaign. Not only would he score his first ever goal on January 2016 against the New York Islanders. Here's a fun fact for you. His goaltender that he scored against was Jaroslav Halak, who was the goalie in New York. I just wanted to mention that. Jaroslav Halak, that was the goalie he scored his first goal against. He also would end up being a very good player for the Vancouver Canucks. Not only would he score 25 points in 75 games in his rookie campaign. But the Vancouver Canucks have an award which goes to the most outstanding defenseman on the organization's team. And Ben Hutton, in his rookie season, would win the most outstanding defenseman by the Vancouver Canucks. So at 22 years old, Ben Hutton is already showing that he has potential. He has upside in Ben Hutton. And as we are discussing Ben Hutton here, when it comes to the Vancouver Canucks, what he did there, I do want to quickly mention that during the 2016 offseason, Ben Hutton would sign a 2-year extension with Vancouver. So even at a young age, not even 25 yet, Ben Hutton showed a lot of potential and would sign a good extension with Vancouver. He also would later that year play his 100th game in Vancouver later in December of that year. I also have to mention in 2016-2017, Ben Hutton would play 71 games, have 5 goals, and 19 points, a little bit down from the year before. And unfortunately, Ben Hutton would actually go on a decline after that year. After joining Team Canada and playing for them in the 2016 International Ice Hockey Federation World Champion, he would actually score 1 point in 5 games. Canada would win Team Gold. And here's a little fun fact for you. Ben Hutton would play alongside his current Golden Knights teammate, Mark Stone, on the Team Canada gold medal team in 2016. So Ben Hutton, at around 25 years of age, playing on Team Canada, winning a gold medal. Making a lot of money, playing in Vancouver, a nice contract. What could go wrong for Ben Hutton? Well, unfortunately for Ben Hutton, he actually would have an unfortunate situation because Ben Hutton would end up having a falling out with the head coach in Vancouver. His name was Travis Green. And in 2017-2018, he would end up becoming a healthy scratch. He'd be taken out of the lineup in certain games. And they actually wanted to deal Ben Hutton in the 2017-2018 season. Vancouver put him on the trade block, and he ended up not getting traded at all. And I do want to mention that when it came to Ben Hutton, he played 61 games that year, 0 goals, and only 6 points in 2017-2018. Now, a lot of that is going to do with the falling out that he had with the Canucks coach in Travis Green. But there's also the fact that he was no longer getting top minutes. He wasn't playing more than 20 minutes a night in Vancouver. And he actually would play 2 more seasons after that and would play for the Vancouver Canucks. And in 2018-2019, he would have 69 games played, 5 goals, and 20 points in his final season playing in Vancouver. So when it came to Ben Hutton, his 4-year tenure in Vancouver, it started out great, most outstanding defenseman on the team, and it ended up kind of being on a downhill trend at the end with the falling out he had with the coach. So Ben Hutton, in 4 seasons playing in Vancouver, 11 goals, 70 points, 111 penalty minutes, and a negative 75 in 276 games played. So Ben Hutton's stats in Vancouver, they're, like I said, we're up and we're down when it came to that situation. The good news for Ben Hutton is that he would get a new opportunity after Vancouver, as he would join the LA Kings in the 2019 NHL offseason. And for Ben Hutton, this would be the opportunity he needed in the NHL. So he would sign a 1-year deal, $1.5 million with the LA Kings, and he would end up playing 65 games for the LA Kings, 4 goals, 16 points, and about 15 penalty minutes in LA. Unfortunately, the LA Kings did not make the playoffs that year. And I would say that Ben Hutton had a situation where he goes to LA, plays 1 year there, had 65 games, 16 points. The next season, he would be on a professional tryout, a PTO, with the Anaheim Ducks. And when it came to Ben Hutton playing on a PTO, he would earn a contract with the Anaheim Ducks. He would sign a one-year deal, $950,000 contract to go to Anaheim. And he would play in just 34 games for Anaheim, only 1 goal, 5 points, before getting dealt to the Toronto Maple Leafs. Now remember, in 2021, the Toronto Maple Leafs are trying to win a Stanley Cup. So he gets dealt to Toronto. And the Toronto Maple Leafs, they give a 5th-round pick to the Anaheim Ducks to get Ben Hutton. And Ben Hutton would go on to play just 4 games for Toronto in that season. And then they would actually make him a healthy scratch during the postseason. Kind of a little bit puzzling why they would trade for him if they wanted to make a postseason move and then leave him essentially off the roster. But for Ben Hutton, this is a guy who, as you're going to see here, he played 1 year in LA, didn't do as great. He goes to Anaheim, has the potential, didn't do as incredible in Vancouver. Goes to Toronto, only played 4 games ever as a Toronto Maple Leaf. So Ben Hutton was kind of at a crossroads at this point. So what happens to Ben Hutton, you might ask? He goes to the Vegas Golden Knights. He finally makes it to Vegas. And Ben Hutton would actually have, in 2021, 2022, he would sign as a free agent with the Vegas Golden Knights. He would sign a 1-year deal, $750,000, essentially a veteran's minimum contract, to come to Vegas. And the 2021-2022 season, Ben Hutton would actually show a lot of potential here in Vegas. Not only would he play 58 games, he would score 13 points, and 3 of them being goals here in Vegas. He would rack up over 30 penalty minutes for the Vegas Golden Knights. And when it came to Ben Hutton, he showed that veteran leadership alongside Nick Hague. He showed leadership alongside Zach Whitecloud. He was a veteran the Vegas Golden Knights desperately needed on their bottom pairing. And also, the fact is, he was also a healthy scratch, or as we're calling it here, a 7th defenseman for Vegas for a good amount of the year. So Ben Hutton, 58 games playing here in Vegas, and he would be on the 3rd defensive pairing when put in. But Ben Hutton, though, would actually be rewarded for this, as Ben Hutton would actually go on and sign a 2-year contract extension by the Vegas Golden Knights. They would actually pay him a 2-year, $1.7 million contract extension to be a 7th defenseman for the Vegas Golden Knights. They would give him a good contract extension to be a veteran in the locker room here in Vegas. So how would Ben Hutton play? How would he perform in Vegas, you might ask? Well, he did what a 7th defenseman is set to do. He would play in only 31 games. He would play in only 5 playoff games. But what Ben Hutton did was show he could be a leader. He showed that he could be a quality guy here in Vegas. And I will mention that this is a guy who scored 3 goals and 8 points in 31 games. It's also the same Ben Hutton who played in the first round of the playoffs. He also appeared in the second round of the playoffs. So Ben Hutton played in 5 playoff games. All of them were in the first round or the second round against Winnipeg or against Edmonton. He was a healthy scratch against Dallas, and he was a healthy scratch against Florida. However, what Ben Hutton would do is be on the ice when the Golden Knights won the Stanley Cup. The photo you see right there is Ben Hutton hoisting the Stanley Cup and putting it on the fact that he is a Stanley Cup champion. As for Ben Hutton, his current cap hit is $850,000, a little bit more than a veteran's minimum. Like I said, $750,000. He is $850,000. Ben Hutton has done well as a NHLer. In 468 games, he has had 22 goals, 90 assists, 112 points, and 175 penalty minutes. It's also the same Ben Hutton who is currently in Vegas, being on the same line as Braden Bahal. He is on the same line as some guys on the third defensive pairing. In fact, Ben Hutton has started a good portion of the season in year 7. So for Ben Hutton, he has done exceptionally well. And I will say for a guy who was a 5th-round pick by Vancouver, somebody who's been in the NHL for a decade now, he is someone who has earned his opportunities. He is someone who has done exceptionally well in Ben Hutton. Because you got to remind yourself, this is a guy in Ben Hutton who has 1 point in the first 5 games. That was actually pretty incredible. He had a point in the first 5 games of the year. He also had a fight in the beginning of year 7, which is something that Ben Hutton has actually been credited for in his career. Ben Hutton takes smart fights. Ben Hutton is somebody who doesn't just fight because he wants to fight. No, Ben Hutton fights people because he understands what the purpose of it is. Regardless if he fought some guys like, for example, Jason Dickinson a couple of years ago. Didn't matter if he fought John Hayden a couple of years ago, or if he fought, for example, somebody like a Mason Marshman. When it came to Ben Hutton, he is intelligent. He is reliable. He is someone who is constant as a Vegas Golden Knight. And as somebody who's been watching him very closely, I will say the Vegas Golden Knights need Ben Hutton because he is a very good 7th defenseman here in Vegas. So as we have about a couple minutes left, I do want to remind everybody who's watching right now that, yes, we are going to have another player profile for you on an upcoming show. As a matter of fact, we have a few player profiles down in the works. And if you want to watch any of the player profiles we've already done, I will leave a info card in the upper right-hand corner. So in post-production, I will put a info card on the upper right-hand corner. You can click on it and look at the rest of the player profiles we have done on this channel. So here, as we're talking about Ben Hutton here on Vegas Hockey Hub, doing a player profile on him. If you like this video, like it, share it with all your friends. We highly appreciate it. And this is somebody that I will say I give a lot of credit to. And Ben Hutton, I feel like is somebody, you know, how do I put this in the nicest way possible? He is going to be a guy that if you're in Vancouver, you know who Ben Hutton is. If you know him in Vegas, you know who Ben Hutton is. He is somebody who, if he is in your hometown team, you're going to know who he is. If he plays for your team, you're going to recognize what he does. However, if he doesn't play for your team, you might have heard of his name, but you're not going to appreciate him the same way. That's the way I'm going to put it there. He is a guy that, you know, if he is on your team, you are going to appreciate what he does. If he is not on your team, you're going to see him as a bottom pairing defenseman. That kind of thing. So I will say for Ben Hutton, people here in Vegas, you know who he is. He is somebody who's definitely done a lot of good in the Vegas Golden Knights organization, winning a Stanley Cup, and the fact that this is year 3 of him being a Vegas Golden Knight, I give him a lot of props. So as we've been talking about Ben Hutton here on Vegas Hockey Hub, I'm your host, Ian Rakelli. And once again, we have another player profile in the works that is almost done. So that's going to be amazing here on Vegas Hockey Hub. And until next time, I'm your host, Ian Rakelli, and continue watching hockey. Go support junior hockey, and go Knights, go. I do want to very quickly mention, by the way, since I did not mention this before, PRConnectionsRadio.com, the voice of new media. I will say to everyone who's part of the network, I appreciate their support. And for Guy Dawson, the guy who created PR Connections Radio, his comment right here: love Vegas Hockey Hub. Keep up the amazing work, Ian. I appreciate what you are doing, Guy. He is somebody who has built this network, PR Connections Radio. You always have my respect for doing that. So yeah, Guy Dawson, I appreciate the comment. Also to Dana and everyone who's working behind the scenes, I will tip my cap to everyone working behind the scenes, regardless if it is engineering, producing, broadcasting, editing, when it comes to audio editing, video editing, everyone who is working either on camera, off camera, anyone who's a part of it on PR Connections Radio, I highly appreciate everyone who's part of PRConnectionsRadio.com. So yeah, just wanted to very quickly mention, Guy Dawson, I saw your comment. We will try keeping up the amazing work here on Vegas Hockey Hub. And for Dana and everyone else who's working on either on camera or off camera, I appreciate what they are doing. And until next time, I'm your host, Ian Rakelli, and this was Vegas Hockey Hub here on PRConnectionsRadio.com, the voice of new media. Continue watching hockey, go support junior hockey, and go Knights, go!